Hey guys, Harry here, and we're back with another Bricklaying vlog. Today we're going to be setting out for a boundary wall. This is 2 panels of boundary wall. This is the boundary wall I did the footing for a couple of weeks ago, I think. It might not even been that long ago, but we're doing it to full height today. Obviously as high as I can reach, really, which is, I think it's like 23 courses, the sweet spot for these boundary walls. I take them to about 20. I'll probably easily take this one to 22, 23 course without any issue. So I'm working solo this week. I got rained off on Monday, as a lot of guys did. Obviously we lost the England match, so you know, everyone decided to take the day off really. But we got rained off on Monday. We worked Tuesday, and then today, which is Wednesday, I was working solo, and I had some remedial work to do. So this is about 35 minutes, 40 minutes of footage. So in between doing some remedial works on this day, I had to wait for the safety inspector to leave before I could climb up a ladder and point these sill bricks. So I decided to go and set out on this boundary wall. What you didn't see before this footage, even though there's only about half an hour's worth of footage here, what you didn't see was me carrying all my gear over. That probably took just as long as setting up really, because there was that many different types of gear I needed. You didn't see me bringing the scaffold boards to put on the mud. That's one thing I do when I'm on boundary walls that haven't been stoned up. Because a lot of the time they only stone up around near the plots, they don't really stone up near the walls, so it's one of them things you have to sort of contend with. You know, some people don't like it, don't bother me. I like having scaffold boards on the floor. It just makes it simulate a scaffold really. One side was stoned up near the roadside, so that was nice. And I had the pack of bricks as probably as far away as you could have got the pack of bricks from where I was starting to work. So I did ask for another pack, but it took him a while to get me them. So I started loading this pack out. Basically what I'm doing, setting up stacks of bricks near this pillar and panel. So with this particular wall, if you can remember from the video when I built this footing, every panel's on a squint, so I've got to build every panel with an expansion, because it's the only way to really make a neat joint. You can obviously mortar joint the squint, but it just cracks. So where there is a squint, I like to, because you can't really build the pillars into the squint because we don't have any squint bricks, and to avoid having to cut every brick in to bond it into each pillar, I just leave slip ties out every 4 course, and I put an expansion up every they're about 20 brick lengths, so it's probably every 5 meters it's got an expansion in, which, you know, I think the regulation's only every 8 meters or something like that, 8 or 9 meters. So, you know, I could really probably do 2 panels without an expansion, but I'd only do that if it was a straight wall, whereas these are all squints. So I find it easier to do, you know, 16, 17 brick run with a pillar and then expansion. Same again, about 15 brick run, pillar, expansion. So it's a lot easier for me personally. And you know, I find it easier building them that way. I've had guys talking about in past videos, you know, taking both skins up at once. It's just not practical. You know, measuring instead of plumbing each side. You know, it's just not as accurate. I don't care what you say. So this is me loading up using the forged iron brick clamps. I've had these for like 4 or 5 years, probably longer. They're the best brick clamps you can get. They are the best, you know. I know BT do certain types of brick clamps that are meant to be really good now, but these are quite cheap, 25, about 30 quid a pair, and they last quite a long time. As you can see, I'm flattening out the ground for my first stacks of bricks. This is one thing people don't take into consideration when you're loading out. You know, make your ground flat under your first stack, and then your whole stack above will be stable. Key thing is, you know, make your 6s every run. With these clamps in particular, you don't have to flip the frogs, so they will pick the bricks up as long as there is a flat side and they're not both frogged, you should be alright. Normally the chance of getting 2 frogged sides of bricks isn't very high if you split your bands into 2 sets of 6 and obviously restack every so many trips. Ideally, if you had if a labourer was doing this, obviously you'd be building the corner at this point, but obviously I was working solo. And if you've only got 1 set of brick clamps, one should be making 6s while the other one runs them to the stacks. This would be a lot quicker if I had the stack of bricks closer to where I was working, the pack of bricks closer to where I was working. So that's just something to bear in mind. Obviously I didn't at this opportunity, but it was in between my remedial work, so I had something to load out while there was a bit of downtime. So when I'm loading out in general, I like to just take it steady, try to limit the movement, so I don't tend to rush when I'm walking between the stacks. Also, when I'm putting my 6s down, I like to make my stacks a little bit higher than you would normally, so I like to make them about 10 or 12 high, just so I don't have to have as many stacks of bricks, and I can load out for the full height in one go. I counted up about 20 bricks each side of the boundary wall, and obviously I build the boundary walls in 2 halves. Talked about this extensively, so I can load out 23 course of 20, which is 460 bricks on one side, so basically a full pack on one side of the wall in 3 big stacks, and then a stack around the pillar. I think those big stacks are like 12 high or so, 13 high, and that is, if you know your 12 times table, 12 times 10 is 120, and then 12 times 3 is 36, so that's 156 per stack. And then if I get 3 of those stacks, that gives me about 450 to 470 bricks, so that will easily get me one side of a boundary wall. I also stack some of the bricks around the other side because I only had 1 pack to play with, so I want to spread out the bricks as good as I can because I'll have another pack being dropped here later on. That's a good way to just gauge how many bricks you'll need. There's nothing worse than loading too many bricks out, so always count up your work that you're going to load out. As you can see here, any opportunity I get, I make a 6 when I go to the stack. When making 6s, I don't take away from other 6s, I just use any straggling bricks. Still getting over this cold, so apologise for any coughs. As you can see here, this pack was in the way of where my board would be going, but luckily I've got the wooden mortarboard stands, so I can easily position that between where that pack is and where my stacks of bricks are. Also, if possible, to limit loading out, try get your pack of bricks right in an ideal place for walling, so you can use one of your a couple of bands as a stack. That's also an ideal strategy. When I'm cutting bands, I don't use a Stanley knife. It's a lot harder to cut your bands with a Stanley knife, a lot more effort. A little hit with a trowel and it easily snaps the bands without damaging the bricks. And because these bricks are reversible, they have 2 faces on, which you can just interchange. On this site, no one really lays to one set face. It's easy to, if you chip a brick on one side or you pick a brick up and it's chipped, you just spin it and then lay that same brick. Ideal when you're working solo to limit wastage and mess, and it's less to clean up at the end of the day. Also, when it comes to little bits of paper on the floor, I try to just gather them around the pallet, shove them under the pallet as well to stop it blowing around. It's not so much of an issue in summer, but in winter, you can get some pretty hefty weather that spreads around all your gear. Depends on what site you're on. Like here, they're not too OTT about everything being super tidy, I've not ever been complained at for it being messy, but some sites are a bit OTT on it and it can get annoying. So it's just going to be me I've just loaded up about 3 stacks here, and then we're going to cut to me setting up some profiles on this 18-inch pillar, 440 pillar. I set up 2 profiles just using a simple method using slip ties. So I use those as spacers to plumb the profiles and to get them level, and I'm just going to be plumbing my 2 face side corners, so on the internal of one side and the external of the other, just taking away 4 plumb points from this 18-inch pillar. Obviously I'll be racking this pillar back from the get-go, so this is going to be an ideal way to, you know, I'm going to be building it the same as I did last video when I made the video of me building freehand with some profiles. When I set this out, I only had 2 course of bricks to play with, so I was using the bottom course. Never try and chisel your top course. You can always have a risk of loosening the brick, and when you loosen the brick, it's basically game up for putting profiles on. Then you've got to sort of build the corner. This was particularly awkward. I think this took me like 6 or 7 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to put these 2 profiles on. So 5 minutes a profile. If you recorded me building a course, it'd probably take me to just build 1 course of this pillar and a tail out at each side. Probably take me 5 minutes. So this is going to save me a lot of time in the long run of the build, because I'll be going 23 course on this pillar, or 20 course at least. If I'm saving 2 or 3 minutes a course over the course of 10 course to 20 course, you could save yourself an hour by setting profiles up. I know it's taking me 10 minutes now to do it, but if it's going to save you a half an hour or even an hour, it's well worth doing. As you can see, I'm just clearing a bit of an area. When making your holes for your F-clamps, I haven't got these F-clamps shaved down or anything. These aren't specialist BT F-clamps for putting profiles on. These are just your standard £2.50 a piece F-clamps. You know, the 300 by 50 mil. First thing I do is, obviously, once I've made my little hole for the F-clamp, tap it in nicely, get the F-clamp knitted up to the profile. Not too tight, just so it's nipped up together. And then now I go over and grab my level and a couple of slip ties. These little flat little metal things. These are ideal for spacers and to bring your profile to plumb. Obviously, the plumb way is this way, or level, which way I'll call it. For the ranging side, this is, you know, easier to get level. So you just tap your bottom out and just make sure that profile's running flush with that Aris, as you can see me checking there. And then this is the part that gets a little bit tricky, and where if you haven't made your F-clamp holes deep enough, your F-clamp can slip off. So what you want to do is push your profile with your level, just nice and steady, and allow space for one slip tie, and see if that gets into plumb. In this case it did not, so I had to get another slip tie. But I don't try and shove 2 in at once, I just slowly ease it out. Obviously with these aluminium profiles, they have a little bit of, these are the thicker ones, but still aluminium has a little bit of play in it, so it's ideal to do this with aluminium as opposed to steel. Steel profiles don't have as much play in them, they don't flex as much, so they have a tendency to pull the brickwork away from the desired area. So this is the one big reason why I use aluminium profiles. These particular ones are gauge taped up, so I don't actually follow the gauge obviously on these. The gauge is just whatever I set it to the first course, and then just gauge all the way up. But it's nice to have gauge tape on. You can use it as a reference. And obviously on plots it is a necessity, because gauge tape just saves you tons of time. So now that's set up, I just check it, you know, range it through. It's not too much of a big deal on the first course of a pillar. I set these pillars out so I know they're pretty square, and then I go to set the other one up. So that took me about 5 minutes for the first one, and now I'm going to go and set the next one up. So here you go, here you see me again with the brick hammer. I use the brick hammer as opposed to as a lump hammer, because when I'm just trying to chisel into a small area, I want direct impact. I don't want to shake the wall as a lump hammer would do. As you can see, just making, you know, a 150 seating for my profile at the bottom. Obviously, I'm only clamping onto 100mm here. Ideally, I could do with some 100mm F-clamps of this style, but a lot of the time they don't make them with the little swivelly handle. A lot of the time they have like a actual gripper handle, so this one swivels on an axis and it's easy to twist. But a lot of the time they have a little plastic handle and they're quite awkward to tighten up. I'm going to experiment with different types of F-clamps, but I find these the 300mm ones are ideal. Obviously, if you have 100mm ones, they're you know, there's just less to get your foot caught on. But if you just you know, mindful, you shouldn't go far wrong. And here you can see me bringing over 2 more lots of slip ties. Ideally, you know, you'd have all your gear right on the pillar ready to put in, but I'm not an expert at putting profiles up. I'm just getting better as I go, so this is just from someone who doesn't really like setting profiles up. You know, a lot of the time I find it a little bit of a waste of time, but in recent times I've found this effective, so, you know, this is definitely beneficial because I wasn't walling today. I was just doing this in the hour downtime I had while doing my remedials. If anyone wants to know what gloves I'm wearing, I'll leave a link in the description. They're not very good, but they're comfy as hell. They only last about a day. So, you know, probably on par with the other gloves I had. They're about double the price, so instead of 60p a pair, they're about £1. I think they're £1 a pair. So they're ideal. You can feel the brick a bit better, so would recommend definitely for anyone who likes some thin gloves. Obviously, I've been using profiles more and more sort of intricate setups. I've been trying to use more tactile gloves so I can easily handle things better. So now that's all set up, and back to loading bricks out. So that's the video in a nutshell, me setting up. I'm going to load out a few more stacks of bricks. I get down to the last 50 bricks and then I leave them all stacked up, ready to move in the morning when I turn up. I've got another pack here as well dropped after this clip. I got another pack arrived, and then I went off to finish my remedial work. I had some pointing up on, I had to point the sills I'd cut and put back in this morning. That was it. That was about it, guys. So you'll just see me how I tidy up, how I, you know, set everything. You know, this took me probably less than an hour, so this is ideal to do if you get there. This is what, you know, certain YouTubers who get there at 7 do every morning. So they'll do, if they're flat starting, they'll all load out for an hour. So you can imagine this is just me setting up on my own. But if there's like 2 or 3 of you doing this, if you've got a labourer doing this, and then 2 of you loading out and setting profiles up, you can really shift some gear if you've got it dropped for yourself. As you can see here, I've obviously got the boards set out over the mud where I'm going to be working for the majority of the time. I haven't got any around the pillar because there was still machinery passing on my right hand side where those tracks were, so that's something I had to be mindful of. And the reason I've started at the far end because obviously we need to be able to get the scaffold around the house, so leaving these other 2 panels, even though there's 3 panels, I'm leaving that big panel down because obviously I'm not going to start building that for the sake of 1 pillar. So leave that pillar down, ready to resume that panel later on. Also, you can see still using the wooden tables. I tend to only carry 2 around with me now if I'm solo. I could normally scavenge some manual rings on any site I'm on. 2 tables is the sweet spot really. You only need 2 a lot of the time for running in, and obviously when I'm working on my own it's always corner building or any sort of profile variant. So once I'm going to do the same setup with this wall as last time, where I build a big 12 to 20 course corner. I'm going to be using the big level tomorrow, so I'm going to be tailing out approximately 8 to 9 bricks, and then I'll be racking back probably 8 bricks is probably going to be the sweet spot for this corner, and then that will take me up all the way to, so 6 took me up 12 last time, 8 should take me up probably closer to 20 to 15, so I might to 8 or 9 I might tail out, and then I can just focus on building in the morning. Obviously majority freehand work, obviously with the profiles, and then once I've done that I can run in all the meat. I'll be setting up a profile on the internal on the far end with a little bit of a timber clamp setup. That it's going to be up to an expansion. I'll run 3 or 4 course in, plumb in the end, and then I'll stick the Magnuson up, or one of the other profiles after I've built I'll probably stick a profile up after 3 or 4 course, and then I'll be just running in all the meat in until it's up to height, and then we'll switch round to the other side of the wall after it gets to like 20 course. I'll probably not do any serious reaching since I'm on my own, so I want to get everything up as quick as possible since I'm solo for only 2 days, and I should get probably, if the weather stays well and the forklift driver doesn't break down and everything, I reckon probably 700 bricks each day. I'm obviously starting a little bit earlier now as well. I'll be obviously driving myself to work every morning, my old man ain't picking me up. It's something that, you know I can get more done getting there early. I've done it before. A laziness came into it a little bit and just stuck in my ways. I got used to getting up later, and there's definitely a big benefit getting there early. If I'm getting a tub out at 7:30 and it's getting dropped for 7:45, I could have used most of that by 10 o'clock, and then get another tub at 10, and then use it all the way until about 12 o'clock, and then at 12 go have a snap, come back at about 1, then get another tub, and that'll see me through to 4 o'clock. So I'll be doing 8 well 4. That'll be 8 hours, probably 8.5 hours on the trowel, with an hour snap in there probably. If I do 8 hours on the trowel with an hour snap, that's 9 hours at work. I should be getting through, I'm thinking close to 3 tubs, because before I was doing 6 hours and doing 2 tubs, so that was with my hour snap, so I'll be doing an extra 2.5 hours work a day, so that's going to be easily enough to get through another tub. So it's something that I'm just trying out, obviously starting a new gang, expanding a little bit. I've got opportunity as well to have an apprentice with me when I'm on this site, so when some more footings get dug and some more slabs go in, I might get the opportunity to start a plot on here, even if it's at floor height, because our prices go from damp to floor and then floor to wall plate. So even if I do a B2 or build 2, which is from floor, that'll be ideal. So we'll have a labourer full time with myself, then apprenticed obviously to get running in with me, and just speed everything up. And with it being through the house builder, we have to just pay a percentage of what they get paid from the house builder. So it's not as expensive as having another labourer. So it is, is beneficial. This is why, you'll see a lot of guys in big gangs have all the apprentices from, say Barrett's have some apprentices, or Miller Homes have some apprentices. You'll have gangs who take on all the apprentices just to make money out of them. And that is the case in really big gangs, because you can really basically use them as 2 hod carriers. for basically a pittance wage. But whereas I'll be actually paying a hod carrier, and the apprentice will be just laying bricks constantly and learning. So it's beneficial for me, obviously. They're laying bricks, and it's beneficial more for them because they're not having to lift as much gear at all, and they get to learn one-on-one. Whereas in big gangs, you know, there's only 2 or 3 bricklayers smashing in the work, and they're just loading up after them. So quick little clip of me hydrating. Got to keep hydrated. It's my number one thing I do. I'm getting through at least 4 litres of water in this weather. Probably I need to be closer to 6 to be optimal, so I'm going to start buying 2 litres on a morning, at least, probably maybe close to 6, and will increase performance. I'm on my 3rd day without drinking, and we're doing pretty well. I've got into a little bit of a habit of having a few beers every night since the lockdowns about a year ago, and we've been back to work a year now, so since our initial lockdown. So I'm really breaking that habit now, getting my fitness back to what it was, really upping my speed in all areas. So yeah, I think this is the last couple of brick clamps I carry, and then I'd go through just tidying up. So I'm going to put on a bit of music, and you guys can listen to this and see, you know, just how I finish off. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you're enjoying the headcam footage, I'm going to be making a mixture of headcam and obviously, you know, just normal GoPro footage. I've got a little stand that came with my GoPro, with my AKASO. If anyone's wondering, this video was recorded in 1080p at 30 FPS with image stabilization on. So I'm going to get a little stand that came with my action cam, and I can set that up on a stack of bricks for you guys as well in between doing the headcam stuff, because the headcam stuff, you know, it's all right to do for like, you know, 20-30 minutes, but it does get heavy on your head after a while, and I might have to get a new hat to accommodate for the weight. So I might end up taking the plastic waterproof cover off the camera, and then it'll make it a little bit lighter. So I might get a lightweight helmet and, you know, a waterproof, take off the waterproof cover. So that'll just make everything a little bit easier, especially in this hot weather as well. So anyway, guys, yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, leave me a comment if you like this first person headcam footage. I think I got the angle pretty damn good. If you like this angle, simulates what Charlie Collison records his videos at. The only reason I use him as a reference, because I think he's sort of the only guy who exclusively uses headcam footage in his videos nowadays. I preferred his older videos, as I've said before, and that's where I started watching him, but it seems exclusively headcam now. So hope you guys like the change, obviously, on my channel. Right, guys, I'll put some music on, and I'll see you in the next one.